Test, 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 test. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? It's been a while since I last popped by. I am still alive. Good morning. Hello. I'm getting by. Let's change screen before my ice cream melts. Where are we? Is it this one? No, it's not this one. Is it this one? Oh, it's this one. Okay, so I have once again got our ice cream. The triple choc raspberry organic coconut ice cream from Little Island, and this time I made sure to bring it out of the freezer just before coming upstairs. It looks a bit soupy, but I think it's okay. Sounds yum. I tasted it last time with the ice cream soup, so I mean, I'm sure it's still good, not melted. We shall see. But as I mentioned last time, what I wanted to do was I wanted to gouge the whole thing out and like eat it as like a giant pint-sized popsicle. Now this ice cream is kind of soft. It's only been out for a few minutes, but it's already getting kind of soft. I don't know how this will go. I think it's gonna break. I think it's gonna break before I make that happen. Hold on. Good morning. I think this is gonna be a bit messy. Pardon as you watch my my model shaft head tilting. Let's see. Dangerously eating on top of your tablet. You're right. You're right. Wipe the ice off there. And stick that there. Let's actually just take this whole thing off. And make our way around, make a moat, and see if we can. Oh, it's moving. Oh, it's moving. Eight. How do I do this? It's not easy to do, but it's possible. You got this. You got this. In before I make a huge mess. It is melting so fast. I gotta tell you, it's actually really soft right now. Yeah. どうしよう. Uh-oh. What do I do? Okay. We still got this. I just eat a little bit of the melted stuff on the outside. Flip it onto a plate like a coward? Oh my god, here it comes. Oh my god, here it comes. Wait, no! Aya! Hey! Ah! It is for real, like, melting. I don't think I can do this. Hold on. I need I need my lid to like rescue any drips there maybe. Oh, I. Aya! Aya! It's out! But this is okay, you know what? Let's just start eating. Why complain, right? I did it. I did it. This is you can probably tell from my model, but I'm like trying to figure out it's breaking. The ice cream is breaking. The ice cream is breaking. Aya. It's going everywhere. Eddie, do you need a spoon? Quickly devour? I don't know about you guys, but I can't eat an entire pint of ice cream. Well, might as well try. What do I do about the mess I'm making right now? It's not normal chocolate, it's like raspberry chocolate. You never heard anyone call an ice cream tub a pint? Well, where I'm from, we don't do that. Can I it's like a spit. It's like a spit of meat. It's like a spit of meat right now. Please don't drop any on the keyboard. I won't, maybe. I won't. Probably. You know what? I think I might. Oh my god. Do you guys see this? It is. It's the ice cream is. It's like elongating. It's elongating on my chopsticks. You're also terrified? It's breaking. It's breaking. It's gonna break. It's gonna. Good attempt, guys. I got a few good looks in there. Once again, I've put my ice cream through a difficult time. Let's tidy up just a smidgen. Yeah. Oh, you were the one who told your story about eating ice cream with chopsticks? I'm pretty sure this isn't what you had in mind, but welcome to the stream. Was it an entire tub? Okay, for starters, people in New Zealand eat ice cream. Oh my god, it went everywhere. Oh my god, it did go everywhere. For starters, people in New Zealand tend to eat ice cream in 2-liter tubs, not pints. The size of this ice cream container is 450 mils, and an American pint is 455 milliliters, so this is a pint. Tell me about ice cream packaging. Ice cream usually comes in... Oh, it's gone everywhere. It really has gone everywhere, excuse me. Usually is eaten... It's like a family-sized tub, I would say. In my childhood, it was always eaten in 2-liter tubs. It's like a family-shared thing. And, pints... Well, I mean, New Zealand doesn't use pints. So... Not quite as common unless you want to eat ice cream like this. This is a very single person size. Pardon? You're right, I'm making a mess. I'll be sure to clean up properly later. You can if it's not melted. Sorry, ice cream. Really put you through the ringer. Oh, it's gone over my hands again. Lovely. You want to eat ice cream too? Yeah, I mean, it's what I mentioned last week. I was like, this'll work. This'll work. Surely half a liter of ice cream you can pick up with chopsticks and eat, like a popsicle. I don't know about a popsicle, but it was definitely like an ice cream spit. I kept trying to turn the chopstick so that it would hang another way, but it just kept slooping heavy side down. Well, tastes fine. Thanks for joining me on this journey of ice cream eating. I'm kind of shocked at how quickly this melts. Maybe it's because it's non-dairy, but this ice cream has kind of gone to mush in the 15 minutes I've had this. I suppose so. Maybe depending on the quality of ice cream. Aya! Debut! Oh, thank you for the donation! Is that to pay for, cleaning wipes for my desk? I appreciate. You do find that if it's made with ingredients like that. Thank you, Debut. I will, I'll eat this for another 2 ticks, and then I'll roll you something in return. How's the ice cream? It's melting. It's melting, and if you came a bit earlier, you would have seen it just kind of splattered across my desk. But otherwise, it's good. Otherwise, it's good. How's it going? Hello, Lollipop Uncertainty. Cheap ice cream tends to stay frozen longer, that's it. Yes, I agree. It's probably what I was thinking of. If the ice cream was like cheap enough, it would be, you could like pluck it up like a popsicle. Well, it was kind of a success. Ah, yeah. Pierce the ice cream with such force. Oh, working hard on commissions. Good work. There's also something on my canvas that I'm working on at the moment, but since it's almost done, I have opted to not stream that today, and just talk with you guys instead about this ice cream. I hope you get some rest soon, Lollipop. Don't stay up too late. Oh, just kidding. It's been the whole night. Oh, and I found a couple of, I think creepypastas have been making their way around again, and I found a couple that I think might be good to read. So, G. Good morning, G. I was just eating ice cream. with the whole thing impaled on the end of my chopsticks. Why with chopsticks? Why indeed? They're very versatile. Why not? Why not indeed? Chops can do almost everything except scoop soup. Can just have soup from the bowl. Coolish bag ice cream with chopsticks? What's that? Coolish bag ice cream? Hmm? Jello? Make me a photo or something, I'm curious. Eh? Nande? Specifically says normal ice cream? Kuishu. Normal ice. Ya nande? Why? Why would you do that to me? How am I supposed to eat normal ice with chopsticks? Exactly. Why wouldn't I just eat it as it was intended? You're actually very hungry? Mayhaps get something to eat? Why don't you guys get ice cream? I am going to, I'm gonna put this away. And then I'm gonna wipe down my desk. So if you don't mind sticking around for just a quick 2 to 5 minute break, I will be right back. Alright. Oh, thank you. I'm back. Thank you for watching me wrestle with a tub of ice cream again. Honestly, at the rate I'm going, I'm gonna be eating that ice cream next year. But that's cool. We can make this a more common thing. Oh, wait. Before I read a thing, let's shuffle. The pint is gonna last a while, methinks. I don't eat ice cream very fast and don't eat a lot of ice cream to begin with. So, unless at some point this week I just decide to eat the whole thing. Am I gonna eat this exact same ice cream next year? I was just thinking that the pint will probably last me at least another month. Oh, think. Oh yes, you can have the ice cream if you want. I give you ice cream rights. Let's do a couple of spins. Spins of the wheel. Same pint of ice cream to celebrate 1 year of bun streaming. You're right. Actually, by the end of this year, it will be a year of streaming with Bun. Which is kind of wild to think about because I feel simultaneously like I haven't streamed a lot. You know? I've been a spotty presence here and there. But anyway, we are now back at the wheel of gratitude. And now, debut, since these spins are for you, what are you hoping for? They're not meant to be rare. Even though it's like this, I am trying my best. Head pats! Okay, let's hope for a head pat for debut. Spin, spin, spin. Fingers crossed for head pat, let's go. Click. Evil bun? Okay, you get one evil bun ticket. Not quite. Let's keep going. One more spin. One more spin. Go hit pat. Ah! Bud legs. Everything but the head pat as always. Debut not very lucky with the spins, but evil bun legs. Bun legs again. I know. I know, you always manage to get legs. It's pretty wild. So you can pick up evil bun legs at any point. I would probably at it. Actually, no, I'm not reading the picture of Dorian Gray today. What are we reading today? The story that I plucked out is called Those Deep Dark Wells. Have any of you heard of this story before? Like evil bun legs? Sure. I will scroll up to show you the legs later. I know. Have you really hoarding the legs? It's almost impressive, honestly. But hey, let's find an appropriate background music. A good background music for good background music for a spooky tale. Not bad. Maybe we'll go for this one for now. Spooky tale, that's right. Getting into those creepypastas again. I picked this one up and I thought that it would be nice to share with you guys if you're willing to hear me read a slightly spooky thing. What are you talking about? One voice is spooky every day. So the story is called Those Deep Dark Wells, written by Michael Page. How is the audio? Can everyone hear me? Sounds good. Excellent. I might can the odd word here and there. I got the impression when I was reading it through the first time that I didn't want to read all of these words. I don't think there's any big swears. The terrible thing happened at night, as most terrible things do. While I click-clacked away at my home job as a transcriptionist, I'd often watch the boys playing in the backyard. They'd be at it for hours, acting out some scene with foam swords and plastic guns, only stopping when the sun left to rise somewhere. Seeing Mason happy made me happy. He'd finally found a friend. His father left us when he was 6 years old, and more or less held no role in his life. Sure, the occasional visits, but even those were short and feigned. Not even so much as a birthday card. Perhaps that was why Mason anchored himself such a secure distance from other kids, a point driven home by his 5th grade teacher and several others. Part of me didn't blame him. Kids in school, especially the ones I can recall, weren't the friendliest bunch. If you were lucky, you could pick out the sharks from the minnows and avoid them, but honestly, they all look the same, twined together in the same concrete box. Please, give him a best friend. I'd whisper at my bedside every night, sending out the same message to God, or at least to someone just as benevolent to hear my prayer. Give my son his first best friend. Then one day, much to my wonderment, Mason brought Todd home for a playdate. He was a petite boy with mismatched clothes, unkempt hair, and the bluest eyes you'd ever seen. I was ecstatic, relieved that my son had finally cracked open his shell and found a buddy. I saw him at the park, Mason told me when I asked how they met. He was sitting alone at the swings like he was sad. When he saw me on my bike, he waved and I waved back. Then we hung out and he was really cool. As he shared this, I couldn't help but smile at his excitement, so much deserved by the loneliest boy in the world. That night, they had a sleepover and passed out in the living room. From my bedroom, I could hear the muffled speech of our television which they had left on. Sighing, I untucked myself out of bed and walked sluggishly down the stairs to them. Light from the screen pulsed and stretched over the sleeping boys. Mason was swaddled in his blanket on the floor, while Todd was curled up on the couch. I scanned for the remote, and after no luck, I moved to shut it off myself. A lone bag of chips crinkled under my foot. From the couch, Todd's shape twitched and then bolted upright. I meant to say sorry, but I was stopped short. When Todd jutted awake and opened his eyes, I couldn't see them. They hadn't rolled up in their sockets or slipped to the sides. They were simply gone. 2 holes of singular darkness. Todd had blue eyes, vividly blue eyes. But at that instant, not even the glow of the television reflected off those dark membranes, black as coal. Then he blinked, and the eyes returned. Before I could say anything, his mouth stretched into a yawn, and his body slumped back into the cushions. I was stiff as a board, somewhat relieved I hadn't shrieked and woken them both up. My thoughts told me it was a trick of the light, as did any speck of reason. Vision played games with you that way. I switched off the television and went back to bed. A few weeks later, on an especially windy evening, a knock came at the door. Todd was there as usual, seesawing on his soles patiently. "Hi there," I smiled. "Hi." He smiled, his thin neck cocked. "Can Mason come out and play?" Before I even had to answer, Mason had already squeezed past me, still working one of his arms through the jacket sleeve. "Bye, Mom." I watched as they disappeared down the street. The rule was to be back before dark, and, to their credit, the boys always returned just as the sky started to dim. On that particular outing, they came home with some cool rocks they'd found and dirt-clotted sneakers. By the time Todd was ready to walk back home, it had fallen too dark for him to go alone. I gave him a ride, with both boys in the back seat. It wasn't a far drive, as his house was only a few streets away. Every so often, my eyes would slip back to the rear view and see Todd watching the street, Mason dozing off next to him. We passed beneath the street lamps. A bar of light would creep through the window, roll over his face, and vanish over his head. The car suddenly rocked as my wheels rolled too hastily over a speed hump. His gaze left the window and met mine. Only this time, as the slanted light skimmed over his features, blue eyes did not look back at me. They were gone, blotted out by the same oily darkness. Silent, murky circles. Even his skin, in just that quick moment, looked different. Like dry, mottled clay, lit poorly over a skull. Lips, bloodlessly shriveled. I slammed on the brake, jostling all of us with a sudden lurch. Mason gasped himself into wide-eyed awareness. As fast as it had happened before, the straight-faced horror in my back seat returned to a sweet young boy, shocked and surprised. Sorry. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I thought I saw a cat in the road." We reached Todd's house, a white ranch style with a flowering dogwood tree in the front yard. As the boys said their goodbyes, I could only stare into the dashboard, my heart sending tremors down my arms. The world felt off its tilt, as if the lines separating actuality and nonsense were blurred. I was disoriented by how real it seemed. His eyes like deep, dark wells, his unhealthy skin stretched and pulled like a death mask. My thoughts clashed with the folds of my brain that formed logic, and eventually logic won. It was all in my head. Period. But despite how far-fetched it sounded, I actively avoided eye contact with Todd, not even giving a sliver of opportunity for that oily pitch to return. If it even happened in passing glance or a quick double take, I'd be back to circling the rim of a mental collapse. A week later, I went to pick up Mason from Todd's house. I'd pulled up along the curb, texted, "I'm here," and waited for some time. But there was no sign he'd read my message, nor did he answer any of my calls. When I got tired of waiting, I twisted the keys out of the ignition and made my way up the slim walkway. The house was missing a great deal of shingles, which scarred its roofline in dark patches. The rain gutters were clogged and stunk of decomposing leaves. I knocked briefly and waited. The door unlocked, held only partially open by a door chain.
"Yes?"
The face peeking out asked. His voice was nasally, like it was lodged somewhere in his throat, right in the pit of it. "Hi, I'm Holly, Mason's mum, here to pick him up." The door closed and then opened fully as the chain slid out of its holder. The man on the other end was lanky with onset baldness, his eyes tired and heavy.
"Oh, sorry about that,"
he said, flashing a thin-lipped smile and offering a handshake.
David, the boys are probably still on their way back, but they'll be here any minute now. You can come inside and wait if you like. I've got some tea ready to go."
I took him up on the offer and followed him inside. At our immediate right was the living area, where a woman sat watching a rom-com on the television. Paying no mind to the sound at the door, she kept her back to us. Beneath the show's timed laugh track, I could hear the sound of hard, labored breathing. Hanging over the side of the sofa drooped a thin skeletal wrist. On the wall, a grey Kit Kat clock shifted its eyes and wagged its tail. The kitchen was small, with a triangular arrangement of sink, stove, and refrigerator, small dance between the three. Flowery wallpaper looped around the room. I took a seat in one as David retrieved some cups from the cabinet. The smell of light orchid drifted through the air.
"I hope you like green tea,"
he said quietly, as he filled the cups and brought them over. "Green is fine," I replied, taking the cup from him. "Thank you." He planted himself in a chair.
"They're really fond of each other, aren't they? The boys, I mean."
"I'd say so. You can hardly keep Mason away," I laughed. By this point, I had noticed the dark pouches beneath his eyes more clearly. In fact, his overall appearance seemed to hang in a mournful sag. Whatever supplement he needed, he was missing a lot of it. "So, how long have you been in the neighborhood?" I asked, for the sake of conversation.
A good while now,"
he mused, rubbing a finger along his cup. Really? I am surprised Mason didn't meet Todd sooner. Our houses aren't too far from each other.
Todd?
He asked, as though needing a moment to remember his own son's name.
Oh, yes. That is pretty surprising. He... gets around.
Mason never sees him at school. Does he go to a different district? Lyons creased his mouth.
School. Well, we...
From the living room, a harsh, guttural coughing reached us. David's neck swiveled towards the sound.
Excuse me, my wife needs me.
He left his chair and hastily went to her. Not too long after that, the front door opened as Todd and Mason arrived. As we said our goodbyes to David and his silent wife, he clasped my hand in a tight shake.
It was nice meeting you, Holly. Really, it was.
When he released his grip, I realized something was left in my palm. When we were back in the car, I folded it open. What's that, Mom? Mason asked. Oh, nothing, sweetie. I smiled back at him, placing the crumpled note in my lap. A phone number, a time to call, and the word help scribbled into its loose leaf. It was nightfall when I unfurled and read it again. I was in the backyard, occupying a seat at our fire pit, my cell phone in one hand and a cigarette pinched in the other. The note said to call at 8, which was only 5 minutes away. As the time drew closer, my chest grew tighter with anxiousness. Moments ago, I'd snuck into my own room, pulled out the bottom shelf of my dresser, and unearthed a pack of Marlboros hidden there. 3 years I'd been without them, and 3 years I'd kept my promise to Mason to stop smelling like an ashtray. But tonight, shamefully, they were the only thing holding me together. When the clock on my phone pulsed 8, I took a long drag on the cigarette and dialed the number. The tone churned in and out a few times and finally connected.
Hello?
David's voice chattered on the other end.
Who is this right now?
My heart rattled in my throat. It's Holly, Mason's mum. The voice exhaled and then returned briskly.
I need you to listen to me, okay? Are you listening?
Yes, I'm listening.
Keep it away from your boy.
The fire pit popped and spat a few embers. Keep what away? What are you talking about?
Listen.
He snapped, a manic weight to his words.
Don't let Mason come over here anymore. It isn't safe for him. Don't even let it go over there. You have to stop this now.
I twisted my neck back towards the house, and then leaned forward in my chair. Are we talking about your son right now?
Isn't my son. Not at all. Not in any way.
You need to calm down. If you need help, I can call the police.
No! No police!
He screamed, his voice so tight and stressed that it splintered on the other end.
It will take more from her if you do that. My wife, she can't handle much more. It's taking something from her, taking something from me. You can't get rid of it now. It's too late for us. But not for you. You can stop this.
started to weep and mutter to himself.
Came to our door to use the phone. Why did we let it in? Why did we let it use the phone?
Something stirred in his background. He paused and then whispered,
Keep it away from him.
And then he hung up. I'm not sure how long I sat out there, but it was long enough for the flames to shrink into powdery mounds. When I entered the house again, Mason was on the couch with his tablet. You smell weird, he said, taking note of me. The fire pit. I lied, my thoughts too heavy to muster anything else. He flashed me a big smile and tactfully asked, Can I have a sleepover at Todd's this weekend? No, I answered stiffly. That isn't going to work. Why not? He persisted. Todd always sleeps over here. Why can't we do his? Because, Mason, I said no. End of story. He shot an icy look of defiance at me. Fine. Then he'll sleep over here then. No, he won't. We are going to take a break from Todd for a while. His jaw opened, flabbergasted. You can't do that. I just did, I said, perhaps a little too matter-of-factly. As I walked back up the stairs, I could feel the burn of his eyes watching me on every step, both of our nights now ruined. David's deranged garble on the phone sat with me for the rest of the night. I had no idea what to do, what to fix, what to think. Keep it away. It isn't safe for him. The message, so vague, but also desperately clear. I had to keep Mason safe. That was all that mattered. The next day, after Mason was back from school, I sat him down on the couch. I'm sorry for last night, I said. I was very stressed, but that is not the way I want us to speak to each other again, okay? His eyes naturally scanned the floor. Okay. I love you, Mason, and no matter what, I want you to be safe. So there are a few things I need to know about Todd. Will you do that for me? He nodded again, his sneakers softly kicking the backpack slumped on the carpet. Did he ever act weird or strange to you? His head shook. What about his parents? Did he act different around them at all? Same answer. I wasn't sure how to word the next question, but I did my best anyway. Did he ever do something with his eyes? This time, Mason nodded. My heart squeezed itself smaller. I wanted so much to change the subject, to retreat to the kind of cadence of sanity. But I had to know more. I had to protect my son. What did he do with his eyes? A trick, Mason replied hesitantly. Told me not to tell anyone, though. You have to tell me. lips crinkled, trying to keep the secret zipped up. Then he finally spoke. You could make them disappear. I felt drugged by his words, my head even feeling lighter, like all the logic in the world had just been raptured away. You did see them, my thoughts repeated. You did see the deep, dark wells. As quickly as all my self-doubt left, a scream of dread filled the empty spaces. Did it scare you? I asked. A little, Mason replied absently. He said not to be, though, that he'd show me how to do it too. I grabbed his shoulder, making him jump suddenly. He didn't, though, right? He didn't do anything to you? He looked confused, like I was the one talking crazy now. No. I know that he is your friend, Mason, but I need you to promise that you won't see him anymore. Mason's gaze flicked back to mine, his eyes wide with betrayal. What? The tears began to come down. Promise me, I repeated, the words like razors scraping down my tongue. I don't want to. Mason. After much hesitation, he tearfully replied, I promise. I hugged him, closed my eyes, and surrendered to the cruelty of it all. For the rest of that hellish week, I kept my ears tuned for the knock at the door. For whatever reason, Todd never used the doorbell. Inevitably, the knock came. Behind the frosted glass of our front door, I could see Todd's vague shape teetering on his soles. When the door opened, he smiled up at me. Hi, can Mason come out and play? Sorry, dear, I smiled back. Mason can't play today. The corner of his mouth lifted as his neck cocked to the side. Can he later? No, I don't think so, sorry. His nose wrinkled and the skin between his eyebrows creased. Okay. I closed the door, watched him leave, and that was that. Might take a few times, but eventually the message would sink in. Leave my son alone. I felt a sense of pride behind that. And what could possibly better protect a boy than his mother? But when I turned and saw Mason's cold eyes from the stairs, the pride all but evaporated. When Todd returned the next day, I gave him the same answer. And the day after that, and the one after that. I couldn't even refuse to answer when he knocked. Otherwise he'd sit there and wait, knock again, and wait some more, knowing full well we were home. 4 straight evenings of it. And poor Mason. He had every right to despise me for this. No parent could want to wall themselves between their son and his best friend, his first friend, but what choice did I have? We were drifting apart, orbiting ever farther away from each other. He was my prisoner and I was the judge, sentencing him back to a lonely world. Surely he'd make new friends, right? The world was full of them, and if anything, this was proof that he could find them. That thought helped me cope anyway. When the knock came for the 5th time in a row, my tolerance had run out.
Todd wasn't catching on. And to make matters more irritating, it was 8 or so at night this time. Part of me hoped it was someone else, maybe a neighbor bringing a package by that was wrongfully left on their doorstep, but I knew better than that, and I was not allowing this to go any further. Mason was doing his homework at the kitchen table when I passed by him. No acknowledgement whatsoever. When I pulled the door open, Todd was standing beneath our porch light, both shoulders hunched over his ears as though expecting me to smack him. And perhaps verbally, that was what I did. "Go home," I said assertively. "We're done. No more of this, all right?" "Can Mason come out to play?" he asked, sorrowfully, as if though it weren't after dark. "No, Todd, he can't. He won't the next day, or the next. Now go home and stay there." His small arm rubbed his sleeve nervously. "It's really dark. I don't want to walk home alone. Can I use your phone to call my parents?" I felt absolutely cruel. But I also knew the game he was trying to play. "You walked here on your own. You can walk back on your own." Then, as I moved to close the door and end the conversation, Todd made his eyes disappear. The darkness washed over them quickly and seemed to actually curdle in his sockets, a thickening, horrible texture. His face became milk wax, a sad child disappearing behind it. Beads of perhaps sweat dripped from his temples. One ran into his eye and vanished into the void. "I want to come inside," he spoke, the sorrowful note in his voice also gone. My heart slackened to a deep, slow throb. I felt the need to pinch my side, to tweak it hard enough to draw blood and wake from this moment. Between the dead, shriveled lips, I could see the decayed tips of black teeth. "Can I please come inside?" he asked. "No," I said, semi-reactively. His black, craving eyes narrowed at me. For a moment I actually thought they started to cry, but it was the darkness dribbling down his cheeks, oozing like oil slicks. "I just want to play with Mason." The sound of it, the sound of that horrible face saying my son's name snapped me out of the shock. I slammed the door closed and quickly locked it. Mason stood stiffly in the kitchen. His expression was only a shimmer of consciousness, vacant as a sleepwalker. "Mason, look at me, honey. It's all okay. Everything's going to be okay." But his unfocused eyes were not facing me. 3 firm knocks came from the door. When I turned to face it, a dark shape lingered behind the frosted glass. A tall figure, taller than any adult, was hunching to look inside. And from behind the single pane that separated us, its vague shape didn't move. From the other side, Todd's voice was still calling. "Can I please come inside? Don't you want to play, Mason? Don't you want to play? I could feel it watching us, like static, vibrating the air. When I tried to move Mason, he refused to budge, staring emptily towards the evil thing behind the glass. Heavy as he was, I scooped him up in my arms and bolted for the stairs. It won't break in, my thoughts uttered. It isn't allowed to. That much I was sure of. If it wanted to get in, it would have by now. It needed to be invited. I shut both of us away in the bathroom upstairs, and when sounds at the front door finally ceased, Mason snapped out of it. He was confused, like he'd just missed everything that transpired. I wasn't sure whether to consider that a blessing or not. Perhaps it was, and perhaps also it was not God that answered my prayer. It was impossible to digest what happened that night. Sometimes, I'd linger on the stairs, right on the top step, and watch the doorway, wondering if the glass would suddenly darken, if Todd's voice would slip through and ask to come inside. One night, David had left a voicemail on my phone. She's gone. It got what it wanted from her, drained her dry. Now my wife won't wake up, and it's left us. I don't know what it wants from your boy, but it wants something. No matter what, don't let it back inside. The message cut out after that, and he still won't answer my calls. Todd never did come back, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Strangely enough, the one least affected by all of this was Mason. I was worried to see him fall back into that distant bubble, but that isn't what happened. He had started to make friends with the other kids around the neighborhood. New friends. Normal friends. He had become a real social butterfly, and despite my brain ripping itself apart to understand what I had seen, I at least had that comfort to cling to. Seeing Mason happy made me happy. Lately, though, I've been feeling strange. It's been harder to feel motivated about things, let alone get out of bed in the morning. Even my appetite has started to dwindle. Day by day, I've been growing increasingly sapped and lethargic. I don't know what's wrong, but it keeps getting worse. Mason's been helping me get around the house, even going out of his way to play chef and make me things to eat. He's a good boy, but sometimes I catch something in his eyes. Something that shouldn't be there. Welcome, Braiders! The story is ended. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alfield Alfield Odin? Welcome. I'm just reading a spooky thing. Alfie, welcome. I am Bun. And I'm reading a creepypasta. But we just finished it. Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, I'll tone down the spooky music now. Let's go back to our peaceful BGM. Did you guys like the story? Are you Australian? No, but close. Close. How would you rate it? Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad if you like it. I thought it was quite
I thought it was quite good. Some of the writing is interesting, but oh, thank you so much. Thanks for visiting. Sleep well. Hope you have a good rest. 10 out of 10 with Todd again. With Todd again. Todd sure is spooky. Golly. It is interesting. Todd the spooky friend who knocks and wants to come in. There's another one that I'm also not entirely sure about, but maybe you thought they were safe? Oh gee, little did you know. Oh, good night, Cuddle Moonlight. Thank you for your visit. Oh, Alfie's from Sweden. I see. Wow. Nice to meet you too. Oh no. Yes, it will be wonderfully comfy. I'm not sure if I can read this next one, but maybe we should, since we have some new faces. Oh, thank you for the kind words. I was just here earlier eating ice cream with chopsticks. Probably not as fun watching, I have to admit. But this next story that I picked up is called Room Sitting. And sleep well. And I haven't read this one through, so it'll be an adventure into the unknown for all of us. I'm not sure how long this will take. Maybe it'll be another 20 minutes. But yes, room sitting. What scary theme shall we go for this time? This one will do. Adventure into the unknown with creepypastas. Room sitting. Is audio and everything still okay? Can everyone hear me? Thank you. Can we do Evil Bun? Sure, let's do Evil Bun. I apologize in advance for how evil my face is about to turn. Oh, Lazarian, thank you very much. As it happens, that is usually what I do here. I usually like to read stories. I hope you'll enjoy this one. Yes, Monka S is right. Let's go on. Good choice, Debut. I was referred by a temp agency. I had no idea who I would be working for or what the job would entail. I only knew that the pay was good. A week-long excursion at $7.25 a night, more than enough to pay off a couple of credit card bills and a good chunk of next month's rent. For that price, I would have done almost everything. I only wish I knew at the time what I was getting myself into. When I arrived at the address, I was surprised. It was a large facility at the end of a dirt road in the woods, 2 towns over. The large sign outside read Synthetic Corp. It was a plain, white, 3-story building, void of identifying markings. Its appearance gave me no clues to its purpose. Its location was even more baffling. Going off the name alone, I had to assume it was some sort of biotech company. I was probably needed to clean up radioactive waste or something to that end. For what they were paying me, I would happily risk my health. Upon entering the building, meeting with the receptionist, I was directed to room 371 on the 2nd floor, where I would wait for Al, my new boss. Was your standard office setting, albeit more quaint than usual. Red carpet, white walls, no windows. Only 6 desks and 3 rows of 2, each with their own computer. At the back of the room was a large wall covered by a one-way mirror, an opening with steps on either side of it. Inside was a single chair, desk, and landline phone. Perhaps a place for supervisors to oversee productivity? Other than that, the room harbored no points of interest, unless you fancied the waste bin and fern in the corner. An older gentleman opened the door and came over to shake my hand. Introducing himself as Al, he seemed to be in a rush, wasting no time in describing the task at hand. I was to stay in that very room from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. the following day, every night, for a week. He left me his cell number and a laminated set of rules to be followed. He told me he could not overstate enough the importance of following each and every one exactly as they were outlined. Once he was sure I understood the gravity of the situation, he left me to my first shift in peace, closing the door behind him. That was it? Really? Just stay in the room for 10 hours a night? Oh. I had no clue as to why I was being paid over $5,000 to room sit. But I learned some time ago to never look a gift horse in the mouth. I simply sat down in the overseer's room with a smile on my face and went over the list of rules. There were 10 in total, all of which left me more than a little confused. 1. Once 8 o'clock rolls around, lock the door, and do not leave the room for any reason until 6. Plan your bathroom usage and meal periods accordingly. No food or drink items within the room. 2. Do not use Hank's computer. It's the closest to the exit. No one is ever to touch it, under any circumstances. Not even Hank. 3. If the phone rings, answer it, but do not talk. No matter what the voice on the other end says, you are not to respond. Hang up after the 2 minutes have passed. 4. Do not let the janitor in. We don't have one. 5. If anyone else comes to the door, let them in, but ignore them. Do not react whatsoever. When they leave, shut the door and lock it behind them. 6. If the waste bin changes locations, place it back in the corner as soon as you notice. 7. If I stop by, only let me in if I know the password. 8. At 9:30 precisely, set each of the computer's home screens to different URLs except Hank's. Do not react to the images. Act normal. 9. If you see Harvey, feed him one of the treats from Lisa's desk, the one opposite Hank's. 10. If there's an emergency, call my cell, but not after 10:05 p.m. Below the last rule was a final sentiment, scribbled over the laminate in pen. No one has made it past night 3. Good luck. I was perplexed, wondering for a moment if Al was a lunatic, and if that was the reason why no one else had lasted. Perhaps his quirks were too much for the previous candidates, and they backed out, fearing for the safety at the hands of his fragile mind. I would not be so swayed. Even if Al was crazy, I would happily take his money for what was shaping up to be a very simple job. At least, that's what I thought. Day 1 was utterly boring. Nothing remarkable happened. Definitely not anything to the extent of what Al's list would have me expect. At 9:30, I even changed the URLs on the computers, if for no other reason than to feel somewhat useful. The next night, however, was a little different. Day 2 started as it normally did. I settled in for another long night, making sure to eat and empty my bladder before locking myself in. At 9:25, just as I was about to ready myself to change the home screens, I saw it. The waste bin was right there at the top of the steps to the overseer's room. I certainly hadn't placed it there. I felt a small spike in my adrenaline before calming down with a smile. The waste bin, the list. It was all a joke at my expense. Al would be in the next room waiting anxiously to see the look on my face. I raced out to the office door. There was no one there. I walked over to the exit and shook the knob. It was still locked. Confused and a tinge scared, I swiftly picked up the waste bin and walked it back over to the corner of the room. I checked the time. 9:30. I started changing the URLs on all the computers, hoping desperately that I had just imagined what just occurred. After skipping Hank's desk, I typed in the last website on PC number 6. I was about to pull away when some strange imagery manifested on the screen. It was surveillance footage of the room, the very room I was in. I saw me looking at the computer. I turned and looked up, but there was no camera. Upon looking back at the screen, I saw something terrifying. I watched as a copy of me stepped out from the overseer's room. It walked up behind me, grabbed a hard drive from one of the desks, and wound up to strike me in the back of the head. I quickly turned to shield myself. There was no one there. I turned back and the screen changed, displaying the website I'd entered as normal. I raced back to the overseer's room and sat down, more than a bit frazzled. I contemplated walking out, but I steeled myself to continue. I was fine after all. Maybe Al wasn't a lunatic, but he didn't seem the type to wish me any harm. Not that I knew him all that well. Still, I hadn't sustained any damage. I was questioning my sanity, yes. But no bodily injuries had befallen me, and whatever was at play here seemed harmless so far. Knock knock. There was a loud banging. Having just had the most horrifying experience of my life, I nearly jumped out of my skin. A voice then penetrated the door.
It's the janitor. Just here to clean up. Can you open the door?
I recalled number 4 and denied him entry.
You did good not letting him in. You followed the rule. Now you're fine. So long as you follow the rules, you'll be fine. It's as simple as that. You can see this through. I jumped again. I really need to get in there and clean up. Open the door. I took a deep breath and peeled back my anxiety, successfully ignoring the janitor until he left. This was an accomplishment for me, and I felt pretty good. A challenge that I was able to best. Though I was on the edge of my seat, the next few hours were uneventful. I even dozed off for a moment at one point. It wasn't until 2:30 a.m. that my next challenge would come. A multicolored cat jumped up on the desk in front of me, complete with beautiful splotches of black and orange. I was startled, but it seemed to be friendly, brushing up against my arm. The name on its collar? Harvey. Ah, I knew what I had to do. I rummaged through Lisa's desk, found the jar of treats, and fed Harvey one, to which he purred in delight. To my astonishment, he then charged at the door, phasing right through it. My mouth was agape in awe. Once my initial bewilderment dissipated, it was replaced with satisfaction over another small victory. As strange as it may sound, I was beginning to like the job. Phone rings. It was the landline. Remembering the rules, I removed it from the receiver and held it to my ear, making sure to keep an eye on the time. Hey, it's Al. I'm going to be stopping by pretty soon to do a little work. How is the job treating you so far? I remained silent. Hello? You know you can talk if it's me, right? I picked up the set of rules and looked them over again. There was nothing about Al calling. I didn't respond. This is no way to treat your employer. If you don't say anything, I'll have no choice but to fire you. Do you really want that? I stood my ground. Only 20 seconds to go. Fine. I'll see you soon to relieve you of your duty. I guess you couldn't even make it past night 2. The 2-minute mark came and I hung up on him. I felt safe as another hour went by. Reflecting on the trials I'd faced thus far, I was bewildered but determined. I wasn't going to let the room cloud my judgment. I was in control. It's Lisa. Can I come in? Though hesitant, I had to abide by Rule 5. I opened the door, and a woman entered. You must be the new guy. What do you think of the place? I went back to my desk in the overseer's room and sat down, trying my best to act casual. Lisa walked up to the glass, knowing I could see through it. Not very talkative, are you?
Her eyes unnaturally darted around in all directions, and her skin drooped a bit, almost as if it were falling off the bone. I didn't answer. I just forgot something. I just forgot to do something. Excuse me. I forgot to change the title of this book. Yeah, it is. Apologies. The storytelling is not top tier anymore. Excuse me. let's return to the evil. Her eyes unnaturally darted around in all directions, and her skin drooped a bit, almost as if it were falling off the bone. I didn't answer, and she didn't speak again. Instead, she stared at the glass for a long time, long enough to leave me feeling truly unsettled. She then waltzed in and stopped at my side, raising her arm. I hoped she wouldn't notice that my breathing had become sporadic and labored. She then violently swung down on the desk, creating a thunderous clap. I almost winced, but held my composure. After another awkward 5 minutes or so, she left. I ran to the door and locked it behind her. A few moments later, there was yet another knock. This time it was a boy claiming to be searching for his father. I let him in and sat back down. He tried many times to ask for my help, but I was careful to ignore him, just as I had with Lisa. At one point, however, I made the mistake of meeting his gaze. For an instant, in between blinks, his eyes became pitch black, void of all color. Startled, I nearly jolted back, but was able to restrain myself. Like Lisa before him, the boy eventually left, and I quickly locked the door behind him. Another rule followed. Other than the waste bin moving around a few times, nothing else happened that night. Before I knew it, it was time to go home. I heavily considered calling it quits, and may have even had a nightmare or two upon sleeping that day. But I found myself excited to continue, wondering what obstacles the room would throw at me next. Curiosity shouldn't have been enough to throw me back, but all rational trains of thought escaped me. The room had this pull that beckoned me to it. I was hopelessly compelled to return. Any excuse would have sufficed. As such, I resumed my post the following night. Upon starting my shift, I was confident. I had dealt with quite a few absurdities up until this point, and waited patiently for my next opportunity. A couple of hours went by with no trouble. No cat, no images on the computers, no phone calls, no waste bin antics. Boredom was beginning to set in when a loud knocking broke the silence. There was no voice. I yelled out from the overseer's room. "Who is it?" There was a brief pause. "It's me, Al." I picked up the list and reread rule number 7. "What's the password?" I heard him chuckle to himself. "I never wrote down a password." was right. There was no password written with the rule. Must have been him. I cautiously made my way to the door and opened it. Al was there to greet me with a smile. I sighed in relief.
Let me guess. Scared of the things that go bump in the night?
He laughed at my clear, nervous disposition.
I have no idea.
He shut the door and set up some things at one of the computers.
Why didn't you write down a password?
He smiled again.
It's a ploy. Anyone posing as me might try to come up with one, which would identify them as not being me. Understand?
I see.
Good thinking.
He returned to his work at the computer. I didn't want to bother him, but I just had to know.
What is this place anyway? Why do these things happen here?
He turned to face me.
It's best if you don't ask questions, especially ones that are far above your pay grade.
I wasn't happy with my answer, but I knew it was all I would get out of him. I let him work in peace and sat back down in the overseer's room, watching through the one-way glass. That was when I realized something. The computer Al was using. It was Hank's. I double-checked the list to make sure. Yes, that was definitely Hank's desk. And no one was to touch his computer. Didn't that apply to Al as well? I turned over the list on the off chance that I might find some more information. That's when my heart sank. In large, bold print, on the back of the laminated sheet was text that read, "Password Diner." Shoot. I grabbed my phone, reached for the scrap of paper with Al's number on it, and dialed it as fast as I could. There were a few tones, but he finally picked up.
Hello? Everything all right over there?
Al, thank goodness. I made a mistake. I thought he was you. I let him in, and now he's on Hank's computer. He let out a long sigh of disappointment. I watched as Al's copy turned from his computer and then stood up.
Listen very carefully. Do not act suspicious in any way. You should be fine if he doesn't suspect anything. If you try to leave, or call anyone else, it'll be all over. Understand?
Yes, I understand.
Al's copy began walking over to the overseer's room.
My heart was beating faster than it had ever done before.
I'll be there soon, just don't panic.
He hung up. I kept the phone to my ear as Al's copy approached so as to pretend I was talking to my wife.
I told you, hun, 6 o'clock.
That's when I clock out.
You don't have to wait up for me. You worry too much. Please, just get some rest.
Al's copy was in the room with me now, staring. I held the phone to my chest and looked back at him.
Everything okay?
I asked. He continued to stare for a few long seconds.
Can you help me with something on the computer?
I wondered if you could see my chest pounding.
Sure, I just need to finish this phone call. I'll be there as soon as I can.
He stared for another moment and then walked back to Hank's desk. Though panicked, I kept up appearances by continuing to pretend on the phone. I even acted out an argument to lengthen the call. While doing this, I watched with bated breath as the knob gently turned and the door swung open. It was Al. I'd never been so relieved in my life. He turned to the glass and put a finger to his mouth, gesturing for me to keep quiet. The clone was not yet privy to his arrival. Al snuck up behind his clone and grabbed him by the throat. The imposter struggled, but eventually succumbed to his vicious grip. He fell to the floor, a lifeless hull, before disintegrating into the carpet. I ran to Al and thanked him. I also apologized profusely.
No need to be sorry. This isn't the first thing to make it into the room. And I'm sure it won't be the last either. I'm just glad you're okay.
He smiled.
Speaking of which, mind shutting the door? Wouldn't want another one of me to stop by, you know?
Of course. I walked over to the door and then realized something. I had left it unlocked after the copy came in. That's how Al was able to enter. Remembering the final rule, I slowly pulled out my phone and opened the call log. My most recent call connected at 10:18 p.m. 13 minutes past the deadline. I turned around to see Al standing right behind me. Hey Al, what's the password? Grinned.
What password?
I ran out of there as fast as I could. The room still has a strange hold over me, but I will never go back. Ooh. Army of Al. Wowie. An interesting story. An interesting story for sure. At least he got out. Al is coming for you. Al and his copies are coming for you. It was pretty interesting. I thought that was quite interesting. Creepypasta. Mm-hmm. Was he allowed to go out of the room again? I suppose not. But I mean, if a guy's gonna run away, then he'll just run away, right? Australia's close. I am from New Zealand indeed. Bun is from New Zealand. Thank you for listening to my crusty story bun readings. It's been a while since I last managed to get on stream and spend time with you guys, so I wanted to share some stories, and hope you enjoy. I'm sure someday we'll come across something truly chilling. But for now, you'll have to suffice with creepypastas. You're very welcome. Let us shimmy back to the front. And I thank you for joining me as always, and for the ice cream adventure as well. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to keep eating that ice cream on stream just so that I can finish it. Oh gee, you were very invested? I'm glad. I think that's always a good sign. Back to the coffin? Yes, always in my coffin. Always coffin thumping from afar. In terms of other updates, I suspect what's happening this week? I'll try to appear maybe a couple of times this week. I don't know if it can be more than that, but we shall see. Oh, thank you for joining us. Hope you get some rest. What are some things you would suggest about New Zealand for others to visit? Oh, that's a tough one. I think if you're someone who likes hiking, or someone who likes, you know, landscape scenery, the South Island is a good place to go. Oh no, not at all. You weren't rude at all. Oh, debut, thank you. Thank you for donating to the Prayer Hands Fund. I was thinking of changing this fund to something that's a little bit more practical for me. I was thinking of making it actually the Second Monitor Fund. I don't know though. Not sure how it'll go. Ice cream, true. Of course, the ice cream that I was eating today was non-dairy, but... Oh, welcome. Yeah, Second Monitor Fund, mayhaps. We shall see. Second Monitor would be better. It's true. I mean, how often will I need to pray on stream? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. But it would make life easier to stream if I was like playing a game or something and wanting to look at chat in the meanwhile. Put away my creepypastas for now. If any of you have any recommendations or anything that you would like to hear read, by all means, ferry them on forth. I'm sorry that I'm so slow at catching up with to-dos. Second Monitor Fund, yes. Not. Oh, praying for bun head pats. Well, you have another bun legs ticket, which, I mean, if you'd like to use it now, you're more than welcome to. You can always save it for another time. Like to hear some sweet, lovely story, I guess. Not horror. Not spoopy bun horror. That's fair. That's fair. Use it next time. Sure thing. Just let me know, and I will bust out the legs for you. New Zealand is a pretty country. I do think that way. Even driving out to like the boonies, I find that the roads there, even just the regular countryside, it's quite pretty. A lollipop, what do you mean? Like story suggestions? If there's something that you want to hear? Well, honestly, this time last week, I was supposed to be reading something that I thought was You mean Evil Bunny Leg? The Evil Bunny Leg ticket belongs to Debut. It's something that you can roll from my Wheel of Gratitude. So, whenever Debut wants to use it, they are welcome to use it. You were in Okinawa for the last 2 years. Oh, I think Okinawa is quite the pretty place. If you're lucky, you can get that. I mean, depending on what you think is precious. I know some people are more interested in my secret streams. They want to hear the whatever secret unaired streams I've been doing on the side. But no worries. I'm grateful for the donations. It's all just for a bit of fun, really. Secret. I'll just tab back. So on the side here, you can see that there's a list of things that you can win. So you can win a head pat, thank you, in which you can give Bun a pat on the head, and then you can have Bun Legs focus, which is Debu's ticket. Then you have 2 kinds of left-handed drawings, which you might see on my Twitter. There's like an archive of left-handed drawings by now. And then there is trivia. You can win a Bun fact, which is just a random fact about myself. And this is honestly not useful to anyone, except possibly in the future if I ever make another Bun quiz. If I ever make another Bun stream quiz, I might quiz you on past Bun trivias, which no one wants, but... Bun fact is a random fact about rabbit. Okay, so once upon a time I did actually do a quiz about real rabbits, but for my my new model debut, I decided to do a quiz about my stream. So people who'd been watching my stream up until that point might have learned some facts about me, and like things that appear on my streams. It's okay, don't take notes. There's no need to take notes. And I'd ask about stuff like what is what's on my desk. So people who've seen my streams in the past will probably have seen my desk at some point. So they might be able to say like, what color is the light of Bun's microphone? Interesting notes. I mean, those will do you fine. Have you heard a rabbit scream? It's super unsettling. I think so. Bun scream. Real Bun screams. Ping pong. It's red. My microphone is red. It's just for fun. It's all just for fun. And half of the questions that I did on those days, on that day in particular, were like stuff that nobody should know, you know? Stuff that nobody should know. But I ask anyway just to make it evil. An evil quiz. But it's not serious. It's not super serious. Rabbits, in fact, can scream, and they thump their feet. Thump. Don't worry. I don't plan to do any screaming on stream. At the very least, none that would be like Bun screaming. But anyway, I anticipate July to be actually not a very present month for me, and so I will make appearances whenever I can, but it probably won't be anything too fancy. Just the usual vibing, methinks. You think I think I heard motorcycle. Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. Do I like to listen with the rabbit ears or the human ears? Like to listen with the human ears. I sure do. But I have bun ears to show that I'm a bun. But anyway, for now, let us wrap up and yeah. And I will see you sometime soon. In terms of what to anticipate for the rest of the week, I wish I could tell you. I've kind of forgotten whatever it is I had planned, but probably continuing on with Dorian Gray melodrama. Probably doing some draws or squeezing in a Dragnest stream here and there, and then possibly where is it? Scroll through my downloads. Possibly that one pixel game I keep saying that I'll play and then not playing on the stream. It's not too long, probably only an hour, so I will hobble that in at some point. Just the usual sleepy content. As always, if you have anything to suggest, especially in terms of like short stories, creepypastas, anything that can be squeezed into a stream, be happy to give it a go. Until then, let's hop into the coffin again. Ah, I see. Bye-bye. Good night. Good night, good night. Good night. Wait. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for your company. It's always good to see you. Hope you have a wonderfully productive day, or if it's very late, hope you have a good sleep. Wish you a good night. Good night, good night. I climb back into the coffin. Good night.